Mabuhay, kamusta kayo, and welcome to another video. So the time has finally come to get this grow tent situation sorted out. A lot of you know that over the past few years I've been growing a lot of cacti from seed in this grow tent under a grow light. They've got to that stage now where they really need taken out of these trays and potted up into pots with some nice fresh substrate. Not only that, but I've had a couple of pretty bad outbreaks of spider mite in here. They have damaged quite a few plants. You can see some damage on these Lophophora, which spider mites absolutely love going after. These don't look too bad for the most part, but others in here are so badly damaged I'm going to have to cut my losses and probably just discard them. Ones like this gymno, for example, it's very badly damaged. You can see that orange-brown discoloration, that's all mite damage. Others in this tray not so badly damaged. These ones can be treated and saved, but this one I probably won't be keeping. Others like these Frailea cataphracta, they have literally sucked the life out of where they've just collapsed in on themselves. I'm hoping I can still save a couple of these just so they can produce seed pods and I can start over. These ones are goners though, no saving them. Luckily for the most part, they've left the astrophytums alone. The Frailea are in the same tray right next to these, but there's minimal damage on these Asterias. Nice Monstrose one there, which they've left alone thankfully. That's the thing about spider mites, they are quite selective of what they decide to feed on. And for the most part, they've left this other rare one alone. Very unusual to have an Astrophytum Asterias that produces offsets like this. Just show you this Euphorbia obesa that I've grown from seed, about a year old. Euphorbia are another plant I've noticed that spider mites tend to avoid. I think in future I'm going to grow more in here that spider mites don't really go on. It'll just save a lot of annoyance because they really are a pain to get rid of. And there are still some lurking about in here, which we'll deal with later on in the video. Right, before we start unpotting stuff, I'm going to show you the mix I'll be using. On the left I have 2 parts of horticultural grit, in the middle is 2 parts of cocoa coir, and on the right is 1 part of Jack's Magic compost. I'm using a mix like this simply because it's the most cost effective based on how many plants there are. If I'm using all my pumice, Chiodama and zeolite for all these, it's just going to cost too much. I kind of wasted a lot of that when I did pot them up into those trays. They should have gone into a mix more like this. Like a lot of things, the price of things like pumice has gone up considerably. So I'm going to mix all this up. And I'm not worried about this mix retaining too much moisture either. One thing about the grow tent is it's like its own little climate in there. I have 2 fans running and the humidity is always very low. Even lower than this sometimes, it's been down in the 20s. So pots dry up very quickly in here, so I prefer if this mix did actually retain a bit more moisture and take a little bit longer to dry out. I think with how low the humidity is in the tent is what has contributed to the bad spider mite outbreaks as well. They do thrive more in low humidity environments. I'll just show you, even with just these 3 components, the mix is still nice and loose and airy. Give it the squeeze test. And it just falls apart again, which is what we want. Right, we'll start with this little tray. Obviously I'm not going to show potting up every single tray. This is not going to be a 5-minute job getting this lot done. Start with these little Ariocarpus. These are about 4 years old. Very slow growing, but again the mites attacked these a little. Probably didn't help with their growth. Nice chunky little taproot. Gently get the next one out. These last 2 got the most damage, but hopefully they'll recover. Frailea phaeodisca, these ones, which, like the Frailea cataphracta I showed earlier, have been damaged as well. I think because these are bigger, they've coped with it better and haven't just collapsed and died. Awesome roots on that. Next one. Wow, great root system again. So despite the damage the mites have caused, these are very strong plants. Little offset on this one. That's probably done that because the growing tip has been damaged. Onto the lofts now. Again, you saw earlier these were a bit damaged. Lovely taproot on that. Again, these are about 4 years old, these ones. These are the two bigger ones. Very healthy. These are Astrophyta mysterious, which again are about 4 years old. And like the younger Asterius in the tent, the mites have left these ones alone for the most part. Huge root system on that. This will probably get its own pot, this one. Others, depending on their size, I'm going to pot into pots together. And obviously all this old soil will be discarded. So we'll get these ones potted up. I will add a little bit of osmocot as well. The two bigger lofts can go in here together. So yeah, it may seem like a lot of organic material in here, but as I said, in the grow tent these pots are still going to dry out relatively quickly. I found cocoa coir dries out quickly even on its own anyway, and the Jack's Magic compost is in there as the main organic component, as cocoa coir is naturally sterile and doesn't contain any nutrients of its own. And of course the grit will help with the drainage when we water the plants. So yeah, it's going to take a while to get all this done. I'll speed some footage up now and then be back with you once the majority of it is complete. Okay, before putting the plants back in, I've given the inside of the tent a nice clean, sprayed and wiped the floor over with some isopropyl alcohol, and I got these two trays for the pots to stand on which fit in here perfectly. That's some of the plants put back inside. I have treated all these for mites before putting them back in. I'll show you now what I've used to treat them with. So in the past I'd just spray 70% isopropyl alcohol on them. However, I found that if you add some horticultural soap to the solution, it seems to be much more effective at dealing with the mites. I've been using this one by Pink Sun. And this is the method I use here, the one that says plant wash. 65 milliliters of soap to 1 litre of water, but I use half a litre of water and half a litre of the isopropyl alcohol. And that's enough solution to treat everything in the grow tent. Give each plant a good spray. And I'll do this in the evening time as well before turning the grow light off. And since using this mixture I've not seen any mites. It's actually been about a month since the footage you've just seen. And you can see on these lofts, for example, that they're already recovering from their damage. I think the trick is you've got to keep spraying the plants. Spraying just once isn't good enough because you're not going to get every mite on that first spray. So I've been making it a habit to spray the solution in here every couple of weeks. So this is everything in the grow tent now. I haven't potted up everything yet. Still got some trays left to do, but the ones that are most desperate to be potted up have all been done. I'll do another update on all these in the next couple of months or so, see how they're all getting on, and by that time I should have got these last couple of trays potted up as well. So thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to like and comment, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the notification bell as well so you know when I upload a new video. You will be safe and well, and I shall see you next time. Salamat po paalam. Bye for now.